Okay. Have you seen all those lip filler migration posts all over social media these days? Kind of scary, right?
Yeah.
Makes you think twice about getting fillers.
Oh, yeah. I can see why people are hesitant when they see some of these pictures. But, today we're going to break it all down for you. What really causes lip filler migration, and how to prevent it and how to fix it, if it does happen.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. What exactly is lip filler migration?
So most lip fillers these days, they're made with something called hyaluronic acid, or HA. And HA, it's this gel, and it's naturally found in our bodies. And when you inject it, it adds volume and, smooths out wrinkles. So migration basically means that the filler has moved away from, where it was injected.
That does sound kind of scary. Is that what's happening in all those filler fails we see online?
Well, some of those pictures, you're right. They might just be overfilled lips, not actual migration. But true migration, it does happen, and it's important to understand why.
So why does filler migrate? What makes it move around?
Honestly, the biggest thing, and I can't stress this enough, is the injectors technique. It's like art, It matters how they handle the filler, where they put it, how much they use, the whole 9 yards.
So finding a skilled injector is key, right?
Absolutely. One common mistake is injecting too much filler at once. The lips just don't have that much space. It's like stuffing a suitcase way too full, something's gonna burst, right? Another thing is if they inject too fast or with too much pressure, it can disrupt the natural tissues, and that pushes the filler out of place.
Interesting. So it's not just about the amount of filler, but also how it's injected.
Exactly. And there are some injection techniques like the Russian lip technique that they look great if done right, but they need a really skilled hand, or else, the filler can end up outside the lip line.
Right, I've heard of that one. Okay, so injector technique and overfilling, those are big factors. Anything else?
Yeah, for sure. The type of filler used also matters. Different brands have different properties, and some spread more easily than others, like Juvéderm. It's smooth and looks natural, but it tends to diffuse more easily than some other fillers.
So it might subtly migrate over time, even if injected perfectly.
Yeah, that's possible. Now, on the other hand, Restylane, it's a bit firmer. It holds its shape better because it's got this thing called cross-linking. The HA molecules, they're more tightly bound together, so it's less likely to spread.
Okay, so choosing a filler isn't just about the brand name, it's also about its properties and how it'll behave in the lips.
Exactly. And a good injector, they'll help you pick the best one for your needs. But, your body itself also plays a role. Your metabolism, how elastic your skin is, even things like if you purse your lips a lot or smoking can affect how the filler settles.
Oh, so even if everything's done right, individual factors can affect the outcome.
Yeah, it's true. You can't control everything. But the good news is, if you understand these factors and you work with a skilled injector who really personalizes your treatment, then you can really minimize the risks.
That does make me feel better. But before we talk prevention, you said some of those migration pics online might actually just be overfilled lips.
Yeah.
How can you tell the difference?
That's a good question. It's hard to tell, especially from just pictures. True migration, usually the filler goes beyond the natural lip border. You get that shelf look or that unnatural duck lip. Overfilled lips, they just look really plump, but they might stay within the lip lines.
Okay, so if you see any weird fullness above your lip line or a change in the shape of your lips, you should get it checked out.
Yes, definitely. A good injector will be able to tell if it's just too much filler or if it's actually migrating, and the sooner you catch it, the better.
That makes sense. All right, so let's say we've done our research, we've found an awesome injector, and we're ready to go. What can we do to prevent migration from happening in the first place?
That's what we'll talk about next. There are some really good strategies you can use to, make sure that filler stays where it belongs.
Okay, we're ready to take notes. Okay, so prevention. Give us the top tips for keeping lip filler right where we want it.
It really all goes back to finding that amazing injector. I know we keep saying it, but it's so true. It's the most important thing to prevent, problems like migration.
Okay, I get it, skilled injector. But beyond experience, what should we be looking for?
Look, you want someone who is board certified. That means they've done all the training, met all the standards, the whole thing. It could be a dermatologist or a plastic surgeon or even a nurse. But they got to have that specialized training in injectables. But even more than that, you want someone who really knows facial anatomy, They've got to have that artistic eye and honestly a conservative approach.
So not someone who's going to overdo it just to give you that big Instagram look.
Right, exactly. A good injector, they'll prioritize your health, your long-term well-being over just chasing trends. They'll look at your face, listen to what you want, and come up with a plan that's just for you.
It's like finding a therapist almost,
Yeah.
You need to trust them, feel comfortable, like they're really on your side.
Oh, I love that. You're so right. It's a relationship. You got to be able to talk to them, ask anything you want.
So do your research, get recommendations, check out reviews, and don't be afraid to have a consultation, before you do anything.
Absolutely. And in that consultation, ask about their experience with fillers, what techniques they like, how they handle complications, all of it.
Okay, so we've got our amazing injector. What else can we do to, minimize the risk?
Honestly, starting slow is huge. Less is more.
Yeah, I've heard that. Why is it so important?
So a couple of reasons. One, hyaluronic acid, it attracts water. It actually plumps up more after it's injected. So if you start with too much, it's like too much pressure, and that can make it migrate.
That makes sense. Like overfilling a balloon, right? It's
Yeah.
gonna pop.
Yeah, exactly. And the other reason is starting slow, it lets your body adjust to the filler, It integrates it better. Think of it like building a house. You need a solid foundation before you add more floors.
So build up the volume slowly over time, not a huge change all at once.
Yes. And when you space out your appointments, it gives you time to see how your lips are doing, make any little tweaks.
Okay, so patience is key. But while we're waiting, what are some signs, just in case migration does start? How do we spot it early?
You want to watch for any change in the shape or how your lips feel, how they look. One common thing is that shelf-like fullness, above the lip. That's when the filler moves up.
So if you start to get that duck lip look, that's a bad sign.
Yeah, that's when you call your injector, ASAP.
What about how it feels? Can that change if it's migrating?
Oh, yeah, for sure. If it feels lumpy or bumpy or it moves around in places it shouldn't, in the white part above your lip, then yeah, that could be migration.
So if your lips start to feel kind of wonky, that's not good.
Exactly. Early detection is everything. The sooner you notice something weird and tell your injector, the easier it is to fix.
Got it. Don't ignore the little signs. Okay, but what if we do everything right and it still migrates? What then?
Don't worry. There are things we can do to fix it, get your lips back to normal.
Okay, that's good to hear. So what's the main solution?
It's called hyaluronidase. Basically, it's an enzyme that dissolves hyaluronic acid fillers. Think of it like a magic eraser for filler.
A magic eraser. That sounds amazing. How does it work?
So hyaluronidase, it's naturally found in our bodies, and it breaks down HA. So when we inject it where the filler's migrated to, it basically dissolves it, and your lips go back to their original shape.
So you're not cutting it out, it just kind of disappears.
Exactly. It's really easy. People handle it well. And what's great is it's super precise. It only works on that HA filler. It doesn't touch anything else.
So if you don't like your results or you get migration, hyaluronidase just resets everything.
It's like a do-over. Yeah. You can start fresh.
Awesome. Are there ever times when you wouldn't use it, though?
Sometimes, it depends. If it's very mild and not really a problem, we might just wait and see.
Just see if it goes away on its own.
Yeah, sometimes the body just absorbs the filler over time. Or we might try gentle massage, teach the patient how to kind of move the filler back into place.
So it's not always a rush to dissolve it. Sometimes a little patience or massage helps. But, we've been talking about lips, but you mentioned that migration can happen other places too. Where else is it common?
Oh, good point. Lips get all the attention, but it's not just there. Under eye filler, that's another one.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that skin is already so thin.
Exactly. And if it migrates there, you can get puffiness, bags, even a bluish color. It's called the Tyndall effect.
Yikes. Is it more common there than in lips?
It's hard to say for sure. We don't have as much data on that, but it's definitely something to watch out for, especially because, the under eye area is so delicate.
So same prevention tips apply. Good injector, conservative approach.
Absolutely. And watch for any changes, after you get filler under your eyes. Pay close attention.
Okay, I'm starting to see the whole picture. Filler migration is a real thing, but it's not like a horror story.
Right.
If we understand it, take precautions, and know how to fix it, it's manageable. But before we finish up, I'm curious about real-life cases. Have you seen any particularly interesting cases of migration?
Oh, yeah, I've definitely seen some interesting ones. One that really sticks out, this patient came in with this fullness above her lip. And we thought, okay, maybe migration, but it wasn't super obvious.
So what did you do?
So we went kind of above and beyond. We got an MRI.
An MRI for lip filler. That's wild.
It's not typical, but we really wanted to see what was going on under the skin. And the results were textbook You could clearly see the filler. It had moved up from the lips towards her nose. No question it was migration, even though you couldn't really tell just by looking.
Wow. So it can be happening even if you can't see it. That really proves you've got to have a good injector who can, like, really diagnose it properly.
100%. And, speaking of that, another case I had, this patient had gotten filler somewhere else, and it had migrated, get this, to her eyelid.
Oh.
Yeah, it was bad. Lots of swelling. She was uncomfortable. Luckily, we were able to use hyaluronidase and, dissolve it, get things back to normal.
So hyaluronidase really is like that, safety net in those situations. But it makes you think, right, with these risks, what's the future of fillers? Like, are there new things coming out that could make them safer?
Oh, for sure. Things are changing all the time in aesthetics. One thing that's really cool, they're working on biostimulatory fillers. So unlike HA fillers, these actually make your body produce its own collagen.
So instead of just adding volume, it's like boosting your natural filler.
Exactly. And that could mean results last longer, fewer complications, maybe even less migration. And another thing, they're starting to use ultrasound guidance during injections.
Like a GPS for filler.
Yeah, pretty much. They can see exactly where the filler is going in real time, so much more precise.
Those are some pretty amazing advancements. It sounds like filler safety is going to improve a lot.
I think so, for sure. And the research is just going to keep going, so who knows what they'll come up with next.
Well, this has been a really deep dive into lip filler migration. We've learned about what causes it, how to prevent it, how to fix it if it happens, and even what the future might hold. What are, like, the big takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
I think the biggest thing is being informed is so important. The more you understand about fillers, the risks and all that, the better choices you can make. And don't be shy. Ask questions. Do your homework. Find a really great injector who you trust.
Totally. It's your face, your health, you're in charge. And even if something does go wrong, there are ways to fix it.
Exactly. Hyaluronidase can really help. And, with all the new research happening, I think the future for fillers is really exciting.
Well said. Thank you so much for talking with us today. I think our listeners are going to feel a lot more confident about making decisions about fillers now.
It was great to be here. I love talking about this stuff and helping people, make good decisions about their aesthetics.
And for all our listeners out there, we hope you found this helpful. We'll be back next week with a whole new topic. Until then, stay curious and stay beautiful.